It is 4th of July weekend in the heartland, and the masses have gathered at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course to see the NTT IndyCar Series and future stars of IndyCar, including INDY NXT by Firestone. It's the Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio. Hi everyone, thank you for joining us with NBC Sports on Peacock today. I'm Kevin Lee, along with Charlie Kimball, a former Mid-Ohio IndyCar Series winner. This, in my mind, is one of the cooler events of the season. Every event stands out, but the fans gather so early. It's a support series, but do these drivers feel like, hey, it's a main event, everybody's packed up to see us too?
100% they do. Billie Jean King said pressure's a privilege. These drivers have the privilege to compete here at Mid-Ohio, one of the greatest racetracks, and I may be biased in that account, but in front of all of these fans that come out early, camp here, stay all weekend, and try and perform not just in front of the fans, but hopefully in front of future employers in the NTT IndyCar Series.
You need to get here early to get your spot up on the hill, and so many great places to gather. Georgia Henneberry has a great spot to watch the proceedings today. She joins us now downstairs with a couple of really fast young drivers.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Kevin. I'm having a little bit of deja vu here as we talk to both of these guys in Road America. That's Christian Rasmussen and points leader Nolan Siegel. But first and foremost, Christian, you are starting on the pole. Obviously, it didn't end how you wanted it to, but
of turn number 5. They climb that hill a little bit off camber as they make their way back down that hill into turn number 6. That's another right-hander.
We could see all of those fans we talked about gathering. They've got their spots, their special spots and picnic chairs to watch these future stars race for 35 laps here at Mid-Ohio. Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course just outside Lexington, Ohio.
Let's try again and hear from Georgia. Take two, everybody.
well, good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Kevin. I'm having a little bit of deja vu here because we talked to both of these drivers in Road America. That's Nolan Siegel and Christian Rasmussen. So first and foremost, Christian, starting on the pole, Road America did not end the way you wanted it to, but you're starting on the pole today, the best position possible. How can you capitalize on it?
I mean, it's just about, managing the race, get away good, and just manage the race from there. Qualifying on pole is really half the battle around here, so we should be able to pull it off.
That Christian Rasmussen starting on the pole, and Nolan Siegel, you took over that championship points. Christian Rasmussen now trailing by 40 points. Is this a comfortable gap for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a good enough gap where I'm not worried about losing the points lead anytime soon, and I think that we're going to be able to manage it. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. The whole team's done a great job so far, so I'm really comfortable. And even starting 6th, I think that we can make some stuff happen today.
That's Nolan Siegel. He will roll off 6th, and also going for 3 wins in a row with the INDY NXT by Firestone. Charlie, Kevin?
And Nolan Siegel is on a roll. It's officially 2 wins in a row. Really should have been 3, because remember, he had a mechanical issue at the end of the first weekend in Detroit. And by the way, add in, he won in class in LMP2 in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship with the CrowdStrike George Kurtz team this past weekend at Watkins Glen. And Charlie, we see the progression from Nolan Siegel. Even he admits, I'm not sure that I was expecting to be in championship contention as a rookie this year.
He has really blown me away. I expected him to be competitive, especially in the second half of the season, which we're coming up on now. But he came in, ran strong, started really, really well, and has been consistent, smart, really mature for this 18-year-old driver, taking advantage of other people's mistakes, and has taken over that championship lead and stretched it to a solid 40-point lead now.
But there is still much more to play for. We have hit the midpoint of the season, or we will at the end of the day today. And keep in mind, a couple of ovals coming up, and veteran drivers like Rasmussen in second, McElray, Frost, others I think keep very much an eye on. Jacob Abel, one of those in that category as well. All right, I'm about ready to get them fired up. Let's go trackside.
Here to give the command to start the engines for the INDY NXT by Firestone. Grand Prix at Road America. Firestone Racing Tire Production Team member Dave Hill.
Drivers, start your engines.
Those Firestone tires for these INDY NXT cars are made just up the road, up just in the outside Cleveland area. I've been to that facility. Those production team members really take a personal investment in making the best, safest tires for these drivers.
Let's set the 17-car grid here today at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and how they are going to line up when they start rolling in just a matter of moments. Road number 1, second pole of the season. He's second in the championship, Christian Rasmussen. And next to him, Louis Foster is the only driver this season to qualify in the top 5 every race.
Very impressive stat from Louis Foster as a rookie. Kiffin Simpson inside of row 2. He was on pole last weekend at Road America. Hunter McElroy won here at Mid-Ohio last year, trying to repeat again today.
Row 3 has Reese Gold, the rookie, with his 4th straight top 5 start, and Nolan Siegel looking for 3 in a row.
Inside of row 4, Jacob Abel, a single car team this weekend for Abel Motorsports in that 51 car. Rasmus Lind outside of row 4. A bit of a resurgence for that young driver.
Row number 5 has Jagger Jones, another rookie with his second best qualifying effort for Kate Motorsports. Christian Bogle has his best start of the season.
Inside of row 6, Inam Ahmed leads a row of rookies here with Jamie Chadwick, the Williams Academy driver, on his outside.
Row 7, speaking of Watkins Glen, Josh Pearson was one of those in the LMP2 class, which was filled with Indy NXT drivers. He finished 4th in class. And James Rowe, who won here a couple of years ago in USF Pro 2000 with Turn 3 Motorsports.
And inside of row 8, Ernie Francis Jr. had a podium a couple weeks ago in Detroit. And Matteo Nannini, a former race winner this year. And then Daniel Frost, inside of row 9, had a mechanical issue, a broken drive shaft during qualifying and unable to post a qualifying time, so we'll start shotgun on the field today.
So that's a faster car coming from the back that will make things exciting. Let's check out the weather. It has been a storyline all weekend, and we were expecting a lot more rain. We had a little bit of rain for a little while during the USF Pro 2000 race, one of them yesterday, but generally speaking, it has been dry. Heavy rain overnight. The track was wet this morning, and it was damp in the IndyCar session, the warm-up that just finished, and there is still a chance of rain today. It's overcast at the moment. I think we're okay as far as this race is going to go. Let's get to Kimball's Keys.
Well, it's going to take starting up front and staying up front. It's hard to pass here at Mid-Ohio. We see a view of the keyhole, turn 2. It's an opportunity for passing, but it comes at a premium. If you make that pass into turn 2, the exit leads onto the longest straight into turn 4. That's another great passing opportunity, the heaviest braking zone. So it's a little bit of swings and roundabouts as far as momentum. That season halfway swing, we've seen Nolan Siegel exert himself in the championship early in this season. Half the season left to go. 2 ovals still to come. These Indy NXT drivers haven't seen an oval yet. They will see 2 of them before the end of the season. I know the experienced drivers are looking forward to those ovals to try and put some of these rookie upstarts in their place.
You could see still some damp sections on this track. Certainly a dry line, but for a driver, what's the challenge? Is it full go, or do you still have to tiptoe just a bit?
Well, I think if you're Christian Rasmussen up front, you have to tiptoe a little bit, but everyone behind can see those cars in front. That's the beauty of being behind a car in mixed conditions or wet conditions. You know they went through there that fast. You can go just a little bit faster. The track here, this older asphalt, really holds the moisture. It doesn't drain away. And a really hot spot, it's caught me out in my IndyCar career, is under the bridge just before turn 1. Fastest corner, one of the fastest corners on the track, and it stays damp on there under that bridge longer than anywhere else on the track.
Turn 1 is new pavement. That's the only place.
Well, and there are a lot of different pavements and patches. I know when we go on board a little later in the race, hopefully I'll be able to point out some of those different patches and repavings. And this track is unique. A little like Detroit, like Nashville later in the year, we start on the back straight, but we finish here on the front straight. So they will line up coming up to turn 2 and start down into turn 4 on the back straight.
So officially the race has started. That was the finish line we passed away on the main stretch. Exiting the keyhole is where it's going to start. IndyCar starts here as well on the backstretch, the longest straightaway. Lined up and ready to go. Rasmussen, Foster in the front row. Simpson, McElroy behind. Rasmussen from HMD Motorsports, second in the championship, controls the start. Time to go from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We are green in INDY NXT by Firestone. Foster's going to look to the outside. Can he go the long way around? Rasmussen has the preferred line. Foster trying to make it stick. He does. They get through turn 1, turn 4 of this course, but further back it's Daniel Frost. We mentioned a fast car in the back. He goes aground. We stay green for the moment.
And out on that grass, it's really wet from that heavy rain overnight. Spun a full 720 there. We'll see if he can get fired up and get back on track. A little bit of contact between Jacob Abel and Reese Gold coming through turn 10 there.
Abel in front in that red and white Abel construction car has the position. Hunkos Hollinger trying to go through. Rasmus Lind, green and black car, trying to find a spot, now looking to come around the inside. Jagger Jones is right behind him as well in that white Cape Motorsports car. It's still Rasmussen out front, Foster behind.
Nolan Siegel getting past Jacob Abel.
I got tagged right rear.
And who was that? I got tagged in the right rear, is that what he said? Or I have a flat right rear?
I think I got tagged in the right rear. That is the 10 car of Reese Gold complaining about contact. He will be conscious as a driver to keep an eye on those tire pressures. Louis Foster, a great start for Christian Rasmussen to hold that lead. They're still jogging. There were 3 wide back there, Kevin.
And 2 wide through here. Jagger Jones, Lind on the outside. They might have touched a little bit. Lind has the preferred line now through 5 and 6. Ahmed right behind him, the other Cape Motorsports car. Jones is fighting back and stays in front.
That's great respect for those 2 drivers going through 4, 5, and 6, all side by side. A little bit of rubbing, but very solid, strong racing from those 2 drivers.
So we saw Daniel Frost go around. We are told there was a review between the 68 of Frost and the 99 of Ernie Francis Jr. Here is the start again into turn 4. So we're eventually going to look all the way to the back. Frost started last, and you can't really see it from there. You see the 99 with Francis and the Force Indy car. Maybe this one will give us a little bit of look.
It's not the 99, it's the 29 of James Rowe, Kevin.
I think so.
That gets into the right rear of Daniel Frost and turns him around. You can see that red and white Denjet car of Daniel Frost bounce in the air a little bit after that contact from James Rowe. Be interesting to see what the stewards say about that.
And we have gotten the correction that it is the 29 under review with the 68 at this point. Here's Ahmed trying to get past Rasmus Lind, side by side, wheel to wheel, even through this really tricky section, and Lind maintains the advantage. That's a battle for 9th. Let's check in with Georgia.
Well, guys, I'm no meteorologist, but it is starting to sprinkle down here on pit lane. I asked a couple of the teams what the protocol is for putting on those rain tires. As we know with the INDY NXT by Firestone, they're not going to do green flag pit stops. So if the rain becomes anything of substance, what they'll do is they'll throw a yellow. The teams will come in and they will get 5 minutes to put on those rain tires. Nothing of concern quite yet, but it is starting to sprinkle.
So much for my prediction that we're going to be okay for the next 45 minutes.
That's a great eyewitness weather report from Georgia there on pit lane, keeping us appraised. I thought I felt it. You could feel the moisture in the air here all weekend. The humidity's been very, very high.
Foster's got a nice run going down into 4. Has he got enough to be able to make a move? Looks to the outside. Not close enough this time.
Christian doing his best to defend just a little to the inside. Louis Foster, both of these drivers have a lot of experience in the rain. Louis Foster coming from England. Christian Rasmussen ran here in USF Pro 2 years ago in the wet. A race later in the season in October, and he said he'd look forward to a rain race because he loves racing in the rain.
The Andretti cars have always been strong here. However, it's a different environment. Firestone tires now for the first time in a decade. So what they've had in the last few years doesn't totally translate, and HMD has so many cars, 8 of them this weekend, to be able to get information from. For a while there, it looked like Foster was faster, really trying to find his way around. Rasmussen has settled that gap back a little bit. Kiffin Simpson back there in third in that Ridgeline American Legion car with a really strong run. You mentioned qualified on the pole at Detroit, or at Road America rather, and then has come back with a third place qualifying effort here.
He's really grown, and I think that relationship with Chip Ganassi Racing, the mentorship that he's been able to get from that big successful team, some of their resources have really helped him find his feet. I think he's got Robbie Fast spotting on the radio. Robbie's got a lot of experience and has really helped him grow into the car this season.
Let's check in with the driver running in second, last year's USF Pro 2000 scholarship winner, Louis Foster, the 26 car.
Copy that, we'll report it.
Complaining about blocking there from Louis Foster. You know, I think Christian had the opportunity to defend. He might have faded back towards the racing line a little bit into turn 4. The stewards don't look kindly on that, but as the leader, if you can move proactively, you have that right to defend, and that's not considered blocking.
Fastest lap of the race so far, well, it is tight. The top 3 are all 1:14.11, 1:14.12, and 1:14.124. That's Foster, Simpson, and Rasmussen in that order. So they are all running the same pace right now.
And they are pushing really hard out front. Those first 4 have stretched out away from Nolan Siegel a little bit. And I wonder if Hunter McElray hanging off the back there. Oh, we've got Christian Bogle in the gravel.
And this is exit of the keyhole. And that's going to bring up, as you said, the full course yellow, because he is highly unlikely to be able to get out of there.
That, especially with the moisture overnight, there is no grip in that gravel. It's there, and it's raked like that, designed to catch cars, slow energy, and keep them from getting to that Armco.
Car is still running. You can see the wheels spinning. But even on a dry day, it's difficult.
When you back it in, and the way that car is positioned at the exit of the corner, it looks like he got on the power a little bit hard. I'm not sure if there was contact or if this was a solo incident, but at the exit of the corner, he would have spun and backed and beached into the gravel.
Christian had his best start of the season in 10th, was running 12th at the moment. Let's see what you can see, Charlie, just the very end of it.
It's hard to see if there was any contact there or if he just got on the power, it stepped out, and he slid off.
Helpless feeling, just sitting there, waiting, and right now is where he is going to lose a lap. It is virtually impossible to extricate a car and keep them on the lead lap.
The AMR safety team does a great job at both the NTT IndyCar Series. We saw a couple of big incidents in practice and things over the weekend. In the Indy cars, they do a great job, but like you say, getting a car pulled out of the gravel like that before the rest of the field comes around, especially here at Mid-Ohio, a little shorter lap, you know, a 74-second lap, that's not a lot of time to pull a car out, so you almost always go a lap down when you're stuck in the gravel like that.
Under the yellow, let's check in again with Georgia.
AJ Smith, team manager at HMD. AJ, have the drivers been saying anything about track conditions out there? This weather has been awfully unpredictable. We're starting to feel these sprinkles, but for the most part, what have they been saying?
Yeah, on the back side of the track, a couple have reported that it's been raining just a little bit, about what we're getting right here now. It's just a slight drizzle. I don't think it's a rain tire deal yet, so we'll just have to watch it and see what happens.
An unfortunate ending to Christian Bogle right there. What do you think happened?
You know, I watched the replay twice. I can't tell that anybody got into him. I think he may have just lost it there.
AJ, thank you. That's AJ Smith, team manager at HMD.
So they get Christian back out on track, and other than a little bit of grass in the front wing, hopefully no damage to the car. He can continue to learn and get experience, albeit a lap down at this point, and he should be able to maintain that situation. Going back to the start of the race, we saw Daniel Frost go around. He was able to stay on the lead lap, and this helps him because he was 20 seconds or so behind the pack. Now he gaps back up. It was under review between the contact with James Rowe and Daniel Frost, and no action has been taken. So that is deemed a racing incident, and we play on.
A little bit of agricultural additions to that 7 car for Christian Bogle, and the safety team will blow off the mud as much as they can. And this is the replay of the start. You can see that contact that sends Daniel Frost. And look how slippery it is. Look how muddy that red and white, orange and white number 68 car is for HMD with the Denjet on the side. It's carrying a little extra weight with all that mud on the side pods.
So while the start of the race was here, the restarts are going to be over on a very short straightaway going into turn 1 with a little bit of added grip in the repave in turn 1. The drivers I've talked to that have been here previously have told me it really doesn't seem that much difference as far as added grip.
There are a lot of different patches around Mid-Ohio, and it adds a lot of character to the track. Sometimes they add grip, sometimes they go away. They have a sealant patch right here in 6. That dark spot there, right up by the grass, is moisture that's still just sitting in all of the pores of the asphalt from that rain overnight. We've had an IndyCar warm-up, we've had a Porsche race, and that moisture is still there. Part of that is being down in a depression, just like here in Thunder Valley. The wind's not able to blow across there and evaporate the water off the track as it would, say, out of the keyhole, up to the keyhole, where it's a little more exposed to the wind.
35-lap race or 55 minutes. We'll go green next time by, and right about this section right here is where they will start to gear it up again. Kiffin Simpson started 3rd, runs in 3rd. Let's listen to his radio communication.
Thank you, Pete. You have been advised to use push to pass as soon as possible after the restart, so we will do the same, okay? As soon as the restart starts, use the button a lot of push to pass.
So that's talking about the push-to-pass system that gives these drivers extra horsepower, about 50 extra horsepower, and it's not unlimited over the course of the race. You have a limited amount of time you can use it, but it's not active right on the restart. It's only active when the leader gets around to the alternate start-finish line, which is over between turn 9 and 10. So when the leader gets to that alternate start finish, as the drivers cycle across, it becomes active. They'll use it on the front straight, out of turn 1, up to the keyhole, and then out of the keyhole, down to turn 4 on that long start.
Kiffin Simpson is another one of the many drivers with Indy NXT ties that raced in Watkins Glen and IMSA. There were some issues before he got in the car, so he didn't really have a chance to compete, kind of like in Daytona when he raced with Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden. They were fast, but started many laps down. Well, he does have a win this year in Sebring, in the 12 Hours of Sebring in class. What is the significance of getting this extra experience for these young drivers? So last weekend we had Rasmussen, Simpson, Siegel, Pearson, I think, is the list that all raced last weekend and are doing endurance racing.
Seat time, and it pays off, especially in a different type of car as we get ready to go green here. I'll hand it over to you, Kevin, and see if Christian Rasmussen can get a restart like he did on that first start.
And by the way, certainly add Nolan Siegel to that list. He won the race in class. All right, time to get going again. Really difficult place to find a spot into turn 1. Let's go again from Mid-Ohio. Christian Rasmussen and Louis Foster. Simpson trying to get heat in the tires, clean them off. In 3rd, McElray started 4th. He's still there. Championship leader Siegel is back in 5th through turn 1 nicely.
You can see Kiffin Simpson still trying to get heat as Nolan Siegel looks to the outside of Hunter McElray into turn 2. Maybe thinks about the over-under as they come onto this long straight. We go on board with Nolan Siegel. Does not have push to pass, but will try and use that aerodynamic draft down into turn 4.
Further back, Rasmus Lind is right on the gearbox of Inam Ahmed. Ahmed will defend. Jamie Chadwick will maybe think about it. Side by side. Lynn trying to go the long way around. Hangs on to it. Now through 5. Chadwick will try to get into play. Ahmed maintains the position. Lind, Chadwick, good stuff.
That was really, really hard, respectful driving from both Ahmed and Lynn. So we see some more water droplets on the camera lens there in turn 9 as we come over the hill into Thunder Valley. AJ Smith talked about a little more moisture on the backside of this racetrack. See if it affects the grip. They were trying to get temperature into those Firestone tires and get the grip up as much as possible.
Jimmy Chadwick has a nice little run there in the DHL car. A lot of DHL guests are here this weekend, not only to support Jamie, but also to support Andretti Autosports IndyCar driver Romain Grosjean. I think Jamie has been progressing nicely. Qualified well, a good pace at Road America, starting in 9th.
Jacob Abel thinking about a move on Nolan Siegel there. Nolan having to look in his mirrors after thinking he might make the move on Hunter McElroy to get 4th is now starting to look back to Jacob Abel. I talked in the grid that Jacob Abel Motorsports is a one-car team this weekend. Colin Kaminsky, it was always his plan to run a scattering of races over the course of the year, build results and build some additional budget. He'll be back later this year for some more races. But Jacob Abel's done a great job. Couple of podiums, is 4th in the point standings, running really consistently with that family-led operation. And being a one-car team, you talked about coming back to Mid-Ohio with new tires. A one-car team, you don't have quite the information that HMD does. So I've been really impressed with Jacob's progress over the course of this year.
Let's learn more about Abel Motorsports with Georgia.
And that's exactly what we want to learn about. I'm catching up with Bill Abel, team owner and father to Jacob Abel. And Bill, can you kind of just talk about the progression of this team over the course of the 2023 season?
Yeah, thanks. We had a big month of May for us. We did a race in Indianapolis, the 500, so that was pretty cool for us. And since then, really, it's been really neat. Our team, everybody's sort of got a bit of a swagger to them as they sort of do their jobs and walk through the pits. It's made a big difference for us. But yeah, it's been quite a year. We started out great at St. Pete and in Indy NXT, and yeah, things have really progressed for us. We're really excited. This race is, we're not starting from exactly where we wanted to start today, but Jacob is a good racer. And he's doing his job right now. He's trying to work his way to the front.
And Jacob also has a very interesting history here with Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think it was 2016 when Jacob needed to get his competition school done for his license. So we decided to all come to the Mid-Ohio school, our whole family. Jacob has a brother and a sister, and then Amy, and it was cool. We spent our summer vacation in Mid-Ohio doing the 3-day competition school. And Amy got the best line of the week from Ryan Till, which was pretty funny.
And fast forward, Jacob's working at the driving school. He considers this one of his home tracks, but thank you, Bill, for your time. That is Bill Abel of Abel Motorsports.
Bill grew up racing motocross, and he's got some trophies from, he said it was called Mid-Ohio, but it wasn't really here at this facility, so he goes way back to this area. They're from the Louisville area, not that far away. Jake has had some success here in car racing and different formulas as well, so good story. We're getting a little closer to the midpoint of this race, and nothing has changed up front. Top 4 are where they started. Christian Rasmussen had a little challenge a couple of times early on from Louis Foster, has held him off from a restart. They've started to gap, though. That's what's changed since the restart, because the top 3 were really hooked up together. Kiffin Simpson has fallen back just a little bit. Then Hunter McElroy and Nolan Siegel, the championship leader, runs in 5th at the moment. Rasmussen, 2nd in points, coming in, back by 40, leading. If it stays this way, that would tighten up considerably, and he'd be within 17 points of the championship lead.
This is exactly what Christian Rasmussen needs to do to start that championship fight into the second half of the season. Nolan Siegel all year has really just avoided being too scrappy. He gave away a lot of points with that mechanical failure while he was leading at Detroit. But other than that, he's really taken and maximized all the opportunities as they came to him. I think that's been the difference in this championship, is Rasmussen has had some issues and had some offs and had some scrappy weekends. Nolan Siegel's just been really calm, consistent, and mature in how he's garnered points and moved forward over the course of the year. You know, with 21 laps left to go in this race, he's still thinking about catching up and passing Hunter McElroy or taking advantage of any momentum swings between Kiffin Simpson and Hunter McElroy. But at the same time, he knows points, points, points. That's how he's gotten to the championship lead. That's how he's going to hold it through the end of the year.
He's moved up a spot from 6th to 5th. This is the lead 2 right here, Rasmussen and Foster. Rasmussen has the greater experience, but Foster is so impressive. I think a lot of people took notice of him when he came in last year as a rookie, not just in the series, but racing in America. Most of the drivers in the road to Indy, the quote road to Indy ladder, have experience in USF 2000, worked their way up, but every track was new, and after an okay start, he caught fire mid-season, and I think you could argue he's been the quickest this year, just needs some breaks. Yeah,
he talked about being so frustrated without having any luck whatsoever. I would say he hasn't had no luck. He's had all bad luck.
Yeah.
He had, incidents with a teammate in Detroit, the car failing, different issues here and there scattered throughout the year, and it's just given away a lot of points where he started on pole. He started on pole twice, and all he got out of that weekend was back of the pack and a third and a podium, and he really thinks there's more in the results there. So he's shown a lot of pace. He just has to get the results. Where Nolan Siegel has been so consistent and Christian Rasmussen has been halfway in between, Louis Foster's been really fast and maybe just not the consistent form to be able to get the points and move up in the championship.
Let's talk more about the Andretti program with Georgia.
Louis Foster currently runs in second. Came over the radio and said he may have felt a little bit of blocking with Michael Andretti. And Michael, what is your opinion of this?
Well, I mean, by rule, you're only allowed to make one move, and he did make a couple moves down the back straightaway, but...
Foster might have not found the consistency that he's wanted to this year, but in the second half of the season, how can you approach that to achieve this?
Oh, we just got to do what he's doing right now, hopefully make a pass and get a win, and then get a few wins and you're right back in it. It's still only halfway through the season, so a long way to go.
Long way to go indeed. Michael Andretti.
It's a good start to the weekend so far for Andretti Autosport because his Indy cars start first and third today with Colton Herta and Kyle Kirkwood. Kyle Kirkwood, by the way, you want to talk about success at this place? He's won 7 of 8 in the official ladder series, plus too many to count. He doesn't remember how many F4 and F3 races that he won. The only race he didn't win, which was in Indy Lights, formerly the series that is now Indy Next, the gearbox broke. So he could be 100% in USF 2000, USF Pro 2000, and the Indy Next series, and maybe gets a win here in IndyCar. Sixth place battle right here. Reese Gold in that gold and black car chasing, and then Matteo Nannini is off in one of the Juncos Hollinger cars. He started near the back and been trying to move his way forward, and he is off, and is that potentially he just pulled off with a mechanical?
It almost looks like that. That's the exit of turn 5. He comes off of turn 5. It's downhill and pulls onto that gravel road. I would say I'm intimately familiar with that tire barrier on the left. It's where I broke my hand in 2012, but they're going to keep that a local yellow to try and keep this race green. So we go to a replay, comes over the top of the hill. Yep, something breaks. And he just tries to get off, out of the way, and over to the AMR safety team.
That was quite courteous to do that and keep the race green.
You could see even that gravel road and the grass, when you saw how slippery it was, he almost accelerated when he got off the asphalt. We've seen more and more water droplets on these camera lenses as we go around the lap, and it's something these drivers will see on their visors. There is no aero screen on these Indy Next by Firestone cars, so all of those water drops they will see. Now my barometer as a driver was always if I could smell the wet asphalt, then I knew I was starting to lose a little bit of grip. You talk about using all the senses. Your senses are heightened when you're doing 150, 180 miles an hour. You may see the water drops, but I always ignored those until I started to smell the wet asphalt, because that's when I knew there was enough moisture to lose the grip.
The driver running in 4th right now looks like he has pretty good pace as well, Hunter McElray, and I know he was frustrated with where he qualified yesterday. He got he and I think Jacob Abel was one of the others that was quick in practice, got one last lap, and in some ways it's just based on pit location and timing. They were just a few seconds away from getting to the line and getting one more lap. The track always gets better. The best lap is at the end, and that's just the luck of the draw. It's not based on points, it's just a rotation throughout the season of pit location, and Andretti Autosport was not up at the front this weekend. So he thought with one more lap he would have started on pole and might have dominated like he did in winning this race here last year.
And that was due to the red flag from HMD's Daniel Frost, who had that mechanical failure. So sometimes you make your own luck, and sometimes it's about when the chips fall and what happens. We get another replay of Matteo Nannini here. This is going down into turn 4, a couple of corners before. You can see the grass on the right front. He's got a big lockup on the right front tire there. I don't know if the left rear is going flat or what's going on, but let's go to Georgia. I think she's got some more information.
I talked to team owner Ricardo Juncos about it. They're trying to communicate with Matteo Nannini. He wasn't exactly sure if something broke. There's a lot of unknowns right now, but I'm going to stick around and try to get an update as soon as possible.
And if they're trying to reach him on the radio, Georgia, he is out of the car, and so they will not be able to get a hold of him that way.
Top 4 altogether. Although Rasmussen has gapped out quite nicely. He's built up almost a second and a half on Louis Foster, and he's got a couple of tenths on the field for fastest lap of the race right now. Kiffin Simpson has the second quickest lap. The driver of that Smart Motors car, Hunter McElroy, third quickest, and then it's Foster, the fourth fastest lap, but they are all really tight. Now a quick one for McElroy, second quickest lap, within a tenth of what Rasmussen has been able to do.
And I love this camera shot up to turn 2 because you can see some of the vortices off the rear wing. That downforce produces a lot of energy, but takes a lot of energy out of the air. So when you're running really close to a car in front, the car gets really light and squirrely, and it takes more out of your Firestone tires. So as we get into the second half of this race with 15 laps to go, it'll be interesting to see who is able to keep their tires under them and still run close enough to try and pass.
A little further back, Daniel Frost, we saw take that spin early on. Caution allowed him to catch up back to the pack, and he's working on Ernie Francis Jr. right here. Ernie's got experience here, not only last year in this series. I believe he won a race in Formula Regional Americas and a lot of Trans Am experience, so I'm just going to assume he won races here in Trans Am.
It seems like he won everywhere in Trans Am, and he's really come on strong this year. That Force Indy program, joining forces with HMD, getting on the podium at Detroit this year, I think really got the monkey off his back, and it was so impressive because he had wrist surgery earlier in that month before Detroit. And to be able to go to somewhere as rough and challenging, as technical as Detroit, as we see Christian Bogle coming into pit lane here, Ernie's done a great job this year and keeps finding more and more speed in himself.
The radiators to make sure we're not overheating or anything like that.
Good info. That tells the story. No reason to risk the car when you're a lap down.
Right. Coming in, check the radiators, make sure we see Daniel Frost going around the outside of Ernie Francis Jr. into turn 4. That takes a lot of confidence and a healthy dose of bravery to get that move done around the outside, especially because he cleared him before he even got up to turn 5, that left-hander. Now he has some clear track to drive up to the back of James Rowe, who helped him into that spin at the beginning of the race.
So as we hit this weekend every year, this is where a lot of next year conversation starts in IndyCar, and that certainly impacts these drivers as well. So while we see Daniel Frost, let's speak on him in a moment. I keep an eye on him for Dale Coyne Racing. He tested with them last year. I know they were impressed, and they considered putting him in a seat this year, but I think Daniel and his group wanted to do another year at this series to continue to gain experience, but we know there's at least one seat open there because David Malukas told the Indianapolis Star. So first I asked David, I said, should I put you on my free agent list? And he said, oh yeah. And Nathan Brown spent a little more time with him, and he made it pretty clear that it's time for a change of scenery, and I plan on moving to somewhere else next year, so that opens up a seat. And then you look at the rest of the field of those to be considered. Certainly you have to think about Christian Rasmussen as a championship contender in year 2, who's won 2 championships in the ladder so far.
And I had a conversation with him Friday morning before first practice, and he said he has a couple programs and a couple of deals on the table to be looking at, trying to put a sponsorship and sales package together to work with, I think, a couple of different teams and open seats in conversation. So he was very bullish about the potential to move up to the NTT IndyCar Series next year. And my one thought with Nolan Siegel is he may be a little bit of a victim of his own success, because if he holds on to this championship lead as an 18-year-old in his first year, I don't think it was in their family's plans for him to win the Indy NXT by Firestone Championship in year 1.
I asked him this on Thursday, and he said it was definitely a 2-year plan, but, and there's Nolan Siegel coming into view running in 5th right now, if we win the championship, then obviously we're going to look hard and work on a program for next year. And even if we don't, if it continues to go well, we're going to think about it. The hope is, he said, I have nothing lined up at this point, but the hope is to test an Indy car and see how I go. And if it goes well, if we think I'm ready, maybe we will think about moving up next year, even if he doesn't win the scholarship in the championship. But there are a lot of these drivers. I put McElray in that list for being worthy of consideration. Kiffin Simpson is a Ganassi development driver, and he is attached to the sponsorship with Ridgeline Lubricants. So at some point, he's going to be an IndyCar, whether that's next year, the year after. Certainly in mind for him. Louis Foster is someone that I think is worthy of consideration. You go on down the line. One other point I'll make on this with Jacob Abel. I asked Bill, his dad, today. I said, if and when he moves up to IndyCar, does that end this program? And he said, no, these are separate. We plan on continuing in Indy NXT, and then Jacob will move up if and when he's ready to an IndyCar program.
And I love Bill Abel's comment about, we ran a race in the month of May at Indy. Yeah. Just the Indianapolis 500, qualified on the first day with R.C. Enerson, put a really great program together. John Bruner spearheaded a group of guys, and he talked about the swagger of their Indy Lights mechanics having put a car in the show at the Indy 500 when a couple of big teams really struggled. They were very proud of their effort this year, as they should have been. And he is looking forward to growing Abel Motorsports in the future, and both here in Indy NXT and potentially into the NTT IndyCar Series.
Let's go to Georgia.
Well, this HMD number 7 of Christian Bogle still on pit lane. We heard what happened earlier, but as he sits on pit lane, he was complaining about sputtering out on the track from the engine. So what they're doing right now is downloading some of the data from the engine itself, then going back to assess what the problem was.
Frustrating for such a great qualifying effort from Christian Bogle, having that off, getting stuck in the gravel, and then losing some engine power. As we see Reese Gold trying to find a way past Jacob Abel here. These guys have been running together almost the whole race. Jacob qualified further up, and Reese Gold qualified, further up, and slid back at the start. He's going to make a move down into turn 4.
He's going to think about it this time, and he has the momentum, and he's going to get the pass done.
Jacob defended, but maybe not as far as he really needed to keep Reese Gold behind him. Reese qualified 5th, really quick yesterday in qualifying. Not a great start, maybe got a little off put with some moisture on the track, but is finding that speed, getting past Jacob Abel. We'll see if he can run down Nolan Siegel at all.
Well, you see a couple of wiggles there from Jacob Abel, and Gold is really starting to check out from him at this point. This honestly is a very difficult place to pass. IndyCar races are highly entertaining because you have pit stops, you have different tire strategies, you have different fuel loads. So that's why the IndyCar race, you tend to see a lot of accident. The junior formulas, where there are no pit stops, it's all about qualifying. And explain this to me. When you know you are faster than the driver in front of you, how do you rein in that anger? Because you know you just want to send it, but it's not that simple.
It is unbelievably frustrating when you see Daniel Frost thinking about sending it inside of James Rowe up to turn 2 there. But it can be so frustrating because you know you're faster, and if you had clean air, you just drive away from him. But the problem is when you get behind, you get in that dirty air, you get in that wash, you lose your aerodynamic grip and you can't use your momentum to get past. The straight's really not long enough. You know, the one good passing opportunity is here into turn 4. Abel starts to defend, Reese Gold pops out. Rather than draw a penalty, Reese goes to the inside. Jacob doesn't defend anymore. Reese Gold gets clear and drives away.
Back up front, look at this. Look at this. Rasmussen was up by about 1.5 seconds, and Foster is close within 2
He had
tenths.
a big mistake the last time, was almost a second slower than Louis Foster and Kiffin Simpson and Hunter McElray.
He was 2 seconds slower in the last lap than Hunter McElray.
Into turn 4. You hit up a little more drizzle, might be thick.
So they're talking about the rain and drizzle down into the backside of the racetrack.
Here we go, here we go. Louis Foster, the outside, locks him up. Can he hang on to it? Foster will make it stick. Yes, new leader in Mid-Ohio. Foster gets around Rasmussen.
That was full send from Louis Foster on the outside of Christian Rasmussen. The preferred line, probably the drier line. You can see the spots of rain on the camera angles. We're starting to see a little more grip degradation. These guys sliding around, the back of the car stepping out more. Christian Rasmussen maybe thinking about the championship. Louis Foster thinking, I got to get that monkey off my back, get on the podium in the top step.
Let's see if Foster is able to check out. Kiffin Simpson in third. McElray has been quick. What does he have?
Kiffin Simpson, Christian Rasmussen are teammates at HMD. Louis Foster out front, Hunter McElray in fourth, both with Andretti Autosport.
Here it is again, Louis Foster. Down into the long straightaway in 4, goes to the outside, locks him up. At that point, you're thinking, he's not going to make it, but he did.
I didn't think there was any way he was going to make it. The other thing we have to be
big flat spot,
big conscious of is that right front now has a flat spot. We saw an issue with Christian Rasmussen at Road America. He had a big, huge flat spot on that tire, and it eventually failed on him and put him in the wall. So I know Louis Foster will be thinking about protecting that right front, minimizing that.
So maybe best thing for him right now would be, if that tire is an issue, rain and going to rain tires. Give us a weather update, Georgia.
Yeah, Charlie, you talked about the grip degradation on the track and the weather picking up. It is doing exactly that. The sprinkles picking up, forming more towards raindrops now a little bit. So we'll see what that brings these last 8 laps.
Oh, and Nolan Siegel cannot hang on to it. The championship leader is sliding, trying to keep it out of the wall, losing positions, losing points, coming to a stop in the grass.
Keep it going, keep it running. Go. Drive.
And he's stuck. Siegel is going to go from a top 5 to finishing at the back, and the championship will take a huge swing today.
We were just talking about consistency.
I'm watching your rear wheels. Keep trying. Keep it trying.
Oh, he's almost. They go full course caution here. Yellow flag now for that stranded car of Nolan Siegel.
And it is so hard on a slick racetrack on slick to keep it on the island. As the rain picked up, Siegel could not, and he is likely going to lose a lap.
And the reason why you think everyone says, oh, why drive my road car in the rain, as we'll get another look at this. Nolan Siegel going off. Why? You know, these are professional drivers. Why are they going off? These tires are slicks. They are not grooved tires. And we see as he turns in, back steps out, he saves it once, twice, goes off, and then the grass is so slippery from that rain overnight, he is a passenger. The engine stalls and he's not able to keep it going. Goes for a little bit of a bouncy ride through the grass, but he's just sliding over the top. It's so slippery. The smooth floors, that carbon fiber floor underneath these cars, mean that when you get on the grass, you just accelerate and slide further and further off the racetrack. To my point about the tires, with the slick rubber on a dry road, it creates extra grip and extra traction than the wets that have grooves in them. But when it gets wet, that level of adhesion drops dramatically, and then a lot of the times you're just a passenger.
only saving grace is the championship is still in his hands, and it would have been either way, but Rasmussen was leading the race. So Foster getting by significantly helped turn that. 12 as they run at the moment. And now Nolan Siegel is a big fan of Kiffin Simpson and Hunter McElroy and those chasing Rasmussen. And he's likely really hoping for it to open up and downpour, because then it's just a huge wild card.
The more chaos, the better for Nolan Siegel at the moment. You know, he's, like you said, hoping for a whole lot of rain, or other drivers making mistakes. You know, we have quite a few laps to go here. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. And
what we don't know is how much of an impact that flat spot will have on the leader, Louis Foster. If it's awful, he might prefer rain. Generally speaking, you've got the lead. You want it to stay the way it is. You don't want rain mixing things up unless you are just a sitting duck with bad tires.
Well, he was driving away from Christian Rasmussen. You heard the Andretti Autosport. You heard Doug's sister come over the radio, his engineer, and tell him that he was driving away. You can see right there flat spots, and every time it goes around, it wants to grab that same spot and just get worse and worse and worse and worse. He did a nice job of not letting it grab that spot as he got out in front in clean air and got driving away from Christian. And we can see as it just slowly goes around that, it almost looks like a darker patch on the tire. That's that same flat spot. You know, these 3 laps under yellow will help him because he's not pushing him, he's just taking care of him. And it will get better a little bit as long as you don't continue to flat spot it. It will get a little bit better all the time.
We're inside 5 to go.
And he only has to hold on for 4 laps when the green flag comes back out here.
And it would be a race control decision if it rained hard enough. They would red flag the race, change tires.
Iceman here, and just race like we were racing. Just try and make up some spots. Let's learn from the track conditions here and put in the fastest laps we possibly can.
That's radio to Nolan Siegel in the 39. And by the way, it's not even close enough to thinking about red flagging the race right now, because the rain tires would be chewed up immediately with all these dry patches. So it's up to driver skill right now. Can you make it stick on a damp racetrack on slick Firestones? Headed towards turn 11, getting ready to restart with 4 to go at Mid-Ohio. Round 7 of 14, we hit the midway point of the 2023 championship. Scholarship money to help get you to IndyCar next year on the line. Christian Rasmussen in second in the championship. Louis Foster in front, looking for win number 1. Back to green.
And look at all those marbles coming off those tires. Picked up some of those marbles under yellow. Kiffin Simpson, a great run out of turn 1, looking at Christian Rasmussen.
Looks outside, coming back inside. He's got a chance. Simpson, Rasmussen, side by side. Teammates. Simpson gets it done, up into second.
And Hunter McElroy thinking, I'll try and take advantage, but he's got Reese Gold filling his mirrors.
And that is good news for Nolan Siegel. That's 5 points right now he gains. Gold looking at McElroy, not close enough. Lynn thinking on Jones back there. Chadwick around the outside, contact with a man. Chadwick slows, is going to lose positions.
Daniel Frost, James Rowe trying to go. You cannot really go side by side through there. It is a tough blind section. They're able to get through cleanly. Josh Pearson, Jamie Chadwick taking advantage. Oh, and Jagger Jones spinning.
He keeps it out of the wall, but Jones goes from a top 10 to falling to the back.
I think Jagger Jones' right rear might be flat, and that might have induced that spin through turn 10 for him.
Foster has built up a little bit of a gap on Simpson. Now Rasmussen. As Jones gets back up to speed, is he wounded?
That second shot didn't look like he just picked up a bunch of mud on that right rear as he spun through the dirt.
Jimmy Chadwick in 10th, lost some positions, just got some back, at least one back, but Jones losing spots. Siegel back there in that green and black car is a lap down. Oh, and it looks like it might still be pretty slick. Lap times are about almost 3 seconds slower than they were earlier in the race. Some of that is going to be with tire wear, but some of it's going to be with a damp racetrack in spots.
And I know Hunter McElroy is hoping to get back on the podium here. He's got Christian Rasmussen in his sight. There'll be 2 laps to go when they come down the front. We'll get a replay of Jagger Jones here. Just the end of that spin through turn 10. It's one of the faster corners on the track. If you get it wrong, we saw with Nolan Siegel, you can slide a long way.
Inside 2 to go. Foster, Simpson, Rasmussen, McElroy, Gold, the top 5. This has been for Kiffin Simpson today. This might be his breakthrough weekend. He does have a podium on the road course at Indianapolis, but he is showing more and more consistency. McElroy is thinking about Rasmussen. There are championship implications there. McElroy very much still in the championship mix. Would love to swing those points to get by Rasmussen. As they run, McElroy is 3rd, 39 points back, and 22 behind Rasmussen for 2nd.
And if Louis Foster holds on to his lead as we come to the white flag and 1 lap to go for Louis Foster, chasing his first white flag. They're encouraging him to. I think that's Kiffin Simpson's engineer telling him to tape that push to pass button down for this last lap. But Louis Foster jumps 3 points in the championship, all the way up to 4th by benefit of the big 50-point gain from winning a race.
Rasmus Lind thinking about Jacob Abel. He's going to have a run here going down into 4. Abel might have gotten a little gap coming out of the keyhole. That's Rasmussen in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. You see there, back to that green and black car. A little further back to Anam Ahmed. But up front, just a few more corners to go for Louis Foster, the BRDC Superstars Program finalist for the Driver of the Year last year. He had a dominant season as a rookie in USF Pro 2000 last year, won 7 races for Exclusive Autosport, won the scholarship. That's the color scheme for his car. He's been quick all season, but does not have a win yet. The only driver to start in the top 5 in every race, and a breakthrough weekend in Mid-Ohio. Louis Foster is now a winner in Indy NXT by Firestone.
Yeah, nice one, man.
Kiffin Simpson comes home 2nd for his best career result, and Christian Rasmussen on the podium in 3rd.
Awesome.
Andretti
What a
Autosport
pass down here, my man.
Andretti Autosport is always strong here at Mid-Ohio. Come away with the top step of the podium. HMD in 2nd with Kiffin Simpson. Christian Rasmussen rounding out the podium for HMD in 3rd. Championship-wise, Nolan Siegel, despite that mistake and sliding off, ending up a lap down, holds the championship lead and was happy to see Louis Foster and Kiffin Simpson get past Christian Rasmussen in the championship.
It's cut by more than half, from 40 to 17, but 17 is still a pretty good spot to be in. As we hit the midpoint of the season, the day belongs today to Louis Foster, who, by the way, has jumped up to 4th in the championship. He is now 42 back, 79 behind going into the day. This one is far from over, and this is how it went today at Mid-Ohio in round 7.
Louis Foster picking up his first win in the Indy NXT by Firestone. Kiffin Simpson, a great result for him, coming off that pole last weekend at Road America. Podium today. Christian Rasmussen, not what he wanted on the day, I'm sure, but a solid result for him. Hunter McElroy thought he got caught out in qualifying, wasn't able to take advantage and go further forward in the course of the race. And Reese Gold, great pass on Jacob Abel to end up in the top 5.
Yeah, for a 5th place result for Reese Gold, that is very promising for him today. He came up with the win in the first pair of the doubleheaders at Detroit. So he's got 4th and 5th place results in the last 2. So Reese Gold, remember, he made a team change early on in the season after starting with Junko's Hollinger, and it looks like that is paying off with the move into the multi-car program with HMD. By the way, I wanted to mention Josh Green. We're sorry to see Josh not here. We all understand the reality. Sometimes the budget just doesn't make it to the end. They unfortunately were not in championship play, so they're regathering resources, looking towards next year. You mentioned Colin Kaminsky. We're going to see him again at least a couple of more times, maybe more than that. There's Michael Andretti, hoping this is a good omen for the start of the day with IndyCar coming up on USA Today and here on Peacock exactly 1 hour from now. With Colton Herta on the pole, Kyle Kirkwood starting 3rd. And Michael Andretti begins the day in victory lane for the teenager from the UK.
Michael Andretti talked with Georgia about needing to just get the result for Louis Foster, get him that confidence, get the monkey off his back. And he talked about there's still a lot to play for. There was half the season left to go now, and Louis Foster winning the first half. See if he's, like you said, getting on fire, building momentum in the second half. If you can go on a tear, then I think a lot of these drivers up front, Nolan Siegel, Christian Rasmussen, Hunter McElroy, will be keeping an eye on Louis Foster for him in their mirrors.
It is very much at least a 4-driver race for this championship as we head into the second half. Let's head down to victory lane. George is there to greet a new winner, Louis Foster.
A first-time winner in the INDY NXT by Firestone Series. That's Louis Foster. He's going to join me right here. And Louis, the trials and tribulations of this season, but it's all come to fruition. And you're kicking off the second half of the season with a win in the INDY NXT by Firestone. What has it taken to reach this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, for sure. But, you know, super thankful we get it done finally. You know, we worked really hard this weekend. The car wasn't where we wanted it to be at the start. The team's done an amazing job to get it where we want it to be. So yeah, you know, thank you very much to them. You know, obviously it started, I think it was starting to rain a little bit or something. It was slippery around the back, and that made Christian make a mistake. And then, yeah, the move was good, just destroyed my front right doing that. So for the last 8 laps, I was going down the straight and shaking it. I need to go see a dentist after that. So, yeah, good, happy with that.
Well, let's talk about this pass for the lead, because you really sent this 26 right in there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we should have probably got pole this weekend. I think we had a good pace. Christian obviously had a slightly better car in the race at the first stage, but you know, I was just managing the tires and managed to hold on and then be able to have the pace at the end to overtake and win the race.
He's ended up in the victory circle here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That is Louis Foster.
And let's talk about the championship and how it is significantly tightened up now as we hit the midpoint. From 40 to 17, the lead for Nolan Siegel.
And Christian Rasmussen still on the podium today, not the win he wanted. Hunter McElroy still within that 40-point window, closing on Nolan Siegel. But the big mover, today's winner, Louis Foster, moving up 3 spots in the championship, 42 points out of the lead now.
Let's go back to Georgia.
I have Kiffin Simpson and Christian Rasmussen second and third on the podium here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And Kiffin, walk us through that pass for second place.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I didn't really have any opportunities throughout the rest of the race, so that was kind of my only chance, and I just tried to take it when I got the opportunity.
And that is his best career finish in the INDY NXT by Firestone. Thank you for your time, Christian Rasmussen. Passed there towards the end of the race, but let's talk championship points. That gap has closed up to 17 points. Does this get your hopes up for the rest of the season as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not the race we wanted today. It was tricky with the conditions. Like, it was dry, and then there was rain, and then there was dry, and like when that rain first came, it felt like the car just never really came back to me. We were sitting pretty good with a good gap, but then the rain came and it was not good. But obviously, good points for the championship still. You know, we've had an amazing car all weekend. I'm very happy to put it on pole. I'm sorry I couldn't finish it today, but like you say, great points for the championship, and now we'll just have to see for the rest of the season.
That is Christian Rasmussen. He rounds out the top 3 with the Indy NXT by Firestone. Charlie, Kevin.
Podiums are always good with this level of competition, but you understand the frustration. You start on pole, you lead on laps.
A couple of mistakes, and when you're the first car in those damp patches on the track, you never know. But Louis Foster, great job to take advantage. Comes away with his first Indy NXT win.
Little break for Indy NXT by Firestone. We'll see you on the Oval at Iowa Saturday, July 22nd at 11 a.m. on Peacock. Stay with us, less than an hour away here on Peacock USA. It's IndyCar from Mid-Ohio. Thanks for joining us.